Hi everyone. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to walk you through how you can use AI Assist to form SQL queries inside an FME. So if we look over on the screen here, I have a workbench open and it's pulling in 4 database tables from SQL Server. We've got a main table up here and we've got 3 additional tables which have additional, attribute information that I want to pull back into the main table. You can see on screen that I'm using 3 feature mergers to do these joins, and there's absolutely no problem with using those feature mergers. But if you wanted to streamline your workbench a little bit more, you could use a SQL creator in this instance. And the SQL creator could carry out the join as the data is being read into your workspace. So in this window here, I've got a SQL creator already added in. It's connected up to our database. And we have our SQL statement window here. So this is where we'd put in the statement to carry out the data join. We can expand and open our SQL editor. And this little button down here, the AI Assist, is going to be our best friend in this case. So you can expand AI Assist, and then it says SQL query description. So this is where you're going to want to type in what you want the SQL query to do. So the more specific you are, the better. But if you type in a bit of text like this, you'll see that it'll generate a SQL query. So I'm asking it to create a SQL query for SQL Server to carry out a left join on the 4 database tables and use the job ID as the join field. You can see when I hit generate as well that we got a warning. I was happy to proceed in this case to create the SQL query. So AI is working on it at the moment. You can see in the status window. If there are any issues with the description that you put into that SQL query description window, it would throw back an error and kind of detail it then in the AI results window to say this may be what's wrong with your description. So I suppose the more specific you are, the better. You can see the request is completed now on screen, and the query that we'd be using in our SQL statement is in this window here. So you can see it's selecting from our all jobs, our left join, using the job ID and the 3 different tables that we're joining to. What's very helpful as well, if I expand this out, is we have an explanation window down here, and it gives an explanation on all aspects of the SQL query. So that's very helpful if there's parts that you weren't sure of, if there's parts that you haven't seen before, and it kind of details and explains what it's doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply, and then that puts the SQL query straight into the SQL statement window here on the left. So I'm going to close this, and I'm just going to do a little bit of reformatting. So I'm going to remove distinct because it doesn't seem to like it. But other than that, the query works very well. So I'm just going to do a little bit of reformatting, do the select and then from on the next line, then do our left join. And I'm going to create a new line for each of the joins that are going to be taking place. So that is our SQL query in here, our SQL statement. Now what I can do is I can click run. I do get a warning here. I'm happy to proceed in this case, but it's great that it gives you that warning just in case you weren't aware. I'll click yes, and it lets us know that the SQL execution was successful. So if there were any issues with the SQL statement, you'd get an error here, and the translation log might give you some more information inside an FME workbench. So I'll click OK. I'll click OK again, and you can see that this window is now populated with our SQL query. I have the features to read set to schema and data features, and it is possible to expose your attributes here, but I do have an attribute exposer down here as well that I'll use instead. So I'll click OK, and I'm going to click Run. Minimize this a little bit, and you can see that we've got our features coming in. So we've got one schema item that details all the schema, the data schema that we've pulled into the workbench, and then we've got our records. So what I'm going to do is, because I didn't expose any attributes over here on the reader, is I'm going to expose them here. Now I'd predefined this, but I'll click OK. And you can see now that we have all of our attributes back in. And what we were looking from the other 3 tables, what we were looking for is the allocated timestamp, the completed and the on hold timestamp. So we have those through from the other 3 tables now, along with the other database information. So that's just kind of quick way that AI Assist can be really, really helpful. SQL query can be a little bit confusing for myself, so it's really helpful to have that.